Hey, friends, as our summer break rolls on, we're revisiting one of our favorite conversations from the launch of Unapologetically ADHD, the book we wrote together, me and Nikki. And this episode dives into one of the most relatable and frustrating ADHD challenges: time. If you've ever felt like time isn't just slipping through your fingers, but actively mocking you with every passing hour, well, you're in good company. We explore the ADHD time zone, time blindness, hyperfocus, and why Jeremy Bearimy might be the most accurate representation of how time feels with ADHD. Whether you're planning, procrastinating, or wondering how it's already next Thursday, this episode has something for you. And of course, we'd love to hear how you experience time over in the ADHD Discord server while we're on a break. Back next week. On with the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on True Story FM. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here with Nikki Kinzer.
Did you forget my last name?
No, I was doing like a sidekick voice. You know,
Oh,
Nikki
okay.
Kinzer. That's how they would do it if it were like the Tonight Show.
That's right. All right.
Yeah. Did I forget your
Well,
last name?
you had this like
Jiminy
little
Christmas.
pause there. And then I saw you looking to the side. Like, does he need to see that Kinzer is my last name? I don't know.
Oh, no, I don't. I know your last name.
Okay. Do you know my maiden name?
No. I don't
Isn't
know. I don't
that
think
funny?
I know your maiden name.
Johnson.
What's your...
Nikki Johnson.
Oh, did you move your maiden name to your middle name?
Well,
Or is it just-
on Facebook, it's Nikki Johnson Kinzer because,
That's
you know,
why.
back
I
in the
did know
day
that.
when you first signed up, you wanted
Yeah.
to put your maiden name in there so people could find you. And yeah.
I don't think I ever. I knew that because as soon as you said it, I could like see it.
You
but I
can see it
couldn't
on Facebook.
Remember where? Yeah, on
Yeah.
Facebook. I was like, where do I know that from?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go. Look, we've just learned something about you.
That's
just
right.
now. So,
Yeah.
and what's your social security number again?
I'm not
Anyway.
going to tell you that. Good try.
Okay. Here we go. We're talking today about ADHD time, the ADHD time zone. We're continuing our exploration, our little brief dance across the subjects that we talk about in our new book, Unapologetically ADHD. We're very excited. As this episode, as we're recording it, we are, just days away from the book being in people's hands.
Well,
As
and
we-
really like a couple
Yeah.
days away from it being in our hands.
Our hands.
Like we need
Yeah.
to be checking the mail every day.
Yeah. It's really unnerving, and I can't wait to reenact the end scene from Back to the Future when he gets his books and the family gathers around and they open the box of his first 10 books. I'm very excited. We're going to reenact the whole thing. But as this episode goes live, books were delivered yesterday.
Oh.
I know we're now in that crossover period where what we're talking about is real.
Is real.
It's
yeah.
bonkers. I don't know how to go about the next 10 days. It's very, very strange. We're going to try. And today we're going to talk about why time is so wonky, because right now in my head, time
It's
is wonky. It's
Yes.
so wonky. Before we dig into the ADHD time zone, head over to takecontroladhd.com/ADHD book. That's where you can find the book. We would love you to check the book out. We're just so excited about the book being out, and we're excited to share it with you, and we hope you like it and that it teaches you some things and you laugh a little bit along the way. And that's it. That's all we're talking about today. It's just book stuff. Go check out the book. That's all we want you to do. Look at that. That was an easy pitch.
I love it.
Now we're going to get into the show. Let's see if we can figure out the ADHD time zone.
Ooh. We talk about the ADHD time zone. We've talked about it before, and everyone with ADHD lives in it. It's messy. It's inconsistent. There's just a lot of confusion. And one of the things that you'll hear in the community is time blindness. And this is more of a common term than I think we coined the ADHD time zone just because it's, random fun thing to say. But a more professional term is time blindness, which means it's a cognitive condition that causes difficulties in perceiving and managing time, often leading to challenges in punctuality and planning. And this is definitely happening in the ADHD mind. This is why things are hard to estimate, like how long things are going to take. Some things take longer than you expect. Some things take less time than what you expect. It's why hyper focus, when you get into something that you're really into, time can just pass really fast, because you're just in the zone and you don't see anything behind you or around you. And we'll talk more about this as we get into our conversation. But time blindness is definitely a huge factor. And it's very difficult to plan when you have time blindness because you don't trust yourself. You don't know how to plan if you really don't know how long things are going to take or how to schedule the day.
We do talk a lot about this particular thing in the book, and the thing that, after reflecting on it and then starting to write about it, I came up with with the way time relates to me, and that is that time is an antagonist to ADHDers, right?
Mhm.
Time's the bad guy more often than not,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like all great bad guys, it's complicated
It's
because
complicated.
it has a backstory, right?
Yes.
Like it's just complicated. I ended up telling the story of the Billy bookcase at IKEA. This is the grand IKEA story in the book, which is that, I thought about this experience of getting a Billy bookcase, and I took the time to write out what it took me to get the bookcase, because I had some things that needed to be updated or needed to be stored, and I could not store them. They were on the floor. I needed to put something in place. So I went to IKEA to find the Billy bookcase. And if you look at the overall timeline of what it took me to do the whole project, it was like a year and it never finished.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I eventually got the Billy bookcase up on and standing up, but then it wasn't until my then fiance came over and told me, you got to actually put the books on the shelf to make it work, that
Right,
actually
right.
finished the job. And so just that experience of reliving that got me thinking about how time is more of a blob than a line, right? It forces us to completely change the metaphor we use for time. We cannot count on linear time like neurotypical folks, because while we feel like we find linear time sometimes, it's more like we're at an intersection with it, and then we move across it and go into blob time again.
Mhm.
So we know it's there. It's just always moving in a different direction. And then I got to thinking about The Good Place,
Mhm.
and oh my gosh, there is that sequence. And I'm just gonna put it in the show,
Oh, good.
right? I'm gonna put it in the show because there's like a 90-second sequence where he describes Jeremy Bearimy, and
Mhm.
that is an absolute anthem for ADHD time in my head.
Okay. Things in the afterlife don't happen while things are happening here. Because while time on earth moves in a straight line, one thing happens, then the next, then the next. Time in the afterlife moves in a Jeremy Bearimy.
What?
In the afterlife, time doubles back and loops around and ends up looking something like Jeremy Bearimy. This is the timeline in the afterlife. Happens to kind of look like the name Jeremy Bearimy in cursive English, so that's what we call it.
Sorry, my brain is melting. How can events happen before the ones that happened before?
Just the way it works. It's Jeremy Bearimy. I don't know what to tell you. That's the easiest way to describe it.
Okay, but what the hell is this? The dot over the I. The hell is that?
Okay. How do I explain this concisely? This is Tuesdays and also July.
And sometimes it's never.
That's true. Occasionally, that moment on the Bearimy timeline is the time moment when nothing never occurs.
Oh my God. That is great.
That is so it.
It
Right?
is. It's Jeremy Bearimy.
It's Jeremy Bearimy. It is Jeremy Bearimy. They figured it out that if you just swap afterlife with ADHD, you describe blob time. You describe the ADHD time zone.
That
What
is
is that, Dot?
so
That's Tuesdays and also July.
good. And
And sometimes never.
Never. Yeah. Yeah.
When nothing never occurs.
Wow. That's really
So
great.
that's where we go when we're talking about
Yes.
what blob time is. It's Jeremy Bearimy. Thank you to The Good Place and Michael Shear.
Wow.
It's just too good. So let's talk about what some of the challenges are that you find when you're in the ADHD time zone.
Yes. Well, and one thing I just want to go back to something that you said in one of your in the essay. You had a couple of them in the time section, and I don't remember which one this was in. But you talk about how ADHDers 24 hours in a day is different for somebody with ADHD, which is where we were talking about with the Jeremy Bearimy thing. But what I want to talk about as I go into the challenges of time blindness, keep that in mind, right? That the 24 hours is not, it doesn't feel the same. It's not the same. And so one of the challenges, of course, is estimating time because things take longer. We have no idea how long it's really going to take to do something, especially if it's something we've never done before or it's something that we haven't done in a long time. If there's a lot of emotion that is around the task, that can, stop us and take us longer to get started. So there's a lot of things to think about when you're estimating time, and it's frustrating. And so again, it's just one of those challenges because 24 hours doesn't feel the same. The hyperfocus, we talked a little bit about this at the beginning of the show. It's that intense state of concentration. And this happens when you're really highly engaged in something. It happens when you buy the Billy bookcase and you're really excited about this organization thing and you get it all like set up and then you get bored or you get distracted and then you don't go back to it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, you were really into this bookcase, right? Freeze. I think this is something you added.
Well, I had my way with the outline. Yeah, because this is the other side of hyperfocus, right?
Yes.
This is this ADHD paralysis when time slows to molasses.
Yes.
It creates clogging tasks because neurotypical time keeps moving while you're stuck in the stasis bubble, the frozen bubble, and it makes it impossible to feel how you're going to start time up again. It's executive dysfunction. And it really happens when the lack of dopamine causes time to feel like it just stops.
Yes, yes.
So
and
that's the evil twin of hyperfocus.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad you brought it up because that's where people shut down. That overwhelm, all of that starts to happen. Transitions. This is something that in my program, in GPS and our membership program, we talk a lot about transitions because it's something that's so often forgotten about, that it takes time for you to stop doing something and then to move into doing something new. There has to be some space there. And you're having that space anyway, right? Because you don't usually just jump from one thing to another. So if you're planning your day and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get done with this appointment at 2:00, and then I'm going to jump into my next appointment at 2:00, you're forgetting that you need some transition time. You're going to take that time anyway, because you're not going to be ready to go into that, 2:00 meeting. And so what the challenge is that you're probably taking it, but you're not planning for it. You're not scheduling that into your schedule. So it's leaving you feeling behind all day long and really scattered.
This is just, I just want to take a little aside because these two things, like getting stuck in transitions and getting stuck in the ADHD time paralysis, right? Time freeze. I think one of the meta challenges here is that from the outside to others, it looks like what it is not. Right? It looks like, oh, you're just lazy. Oh, you should, if you would just get up and do it, you'd be done. And then you wouldn't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
Right? Oh, are you depressed? Is this depression? Because if it's depression, we should go take care of that. And maybe part of it is depression at that point.
Yeah.
But when you're stuck in this place, when you can't figure out how to move from one thing to the next, maybe it comes out like it does for me sometimes in rage. Like I get mad at myself and sometimes at others. And I get snappy when I'm asked to change context from something that I'm really into to anything else. Even if it's a thing, I really struggle with those context shifts. And that can look like something that it's not, or that it's adjacent to, but really it's my ADHD that is holding the reins. And I have to figure out how to be the one to take agency away from the ADHD. And
Mhm.
that's so hard. It's one of the biggest challenges to me for the ADHD time zone is
Mhm.
figuring out how I'm the one who gets to have agency in whatever exchange I'm taking part in,
Right.
whether it's work, hyper focus, social time, whatever. I'm the one in charge.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
It's hard to remember that. And it's
yeah,
hard to believe it when you've got so many things, coming at you at one time, or
yep,
things that you feel like you have to do. The
yeah,
last area here that I think sometimes doesn't always get talked about too is the now, not now
hmm,
type of time zone that people live in. So ADHDers are great in living in the present, right? Because now is what matters. And oftentimes you feel so behind that really all you can think about is how can I get caught up? How much can I do today? And so what happens is you don't think about the future. You certainly don't look into longer than just a couple of days. And then that will bite you later
hmm,
too, because then all of a sudden what feels like next week is tomorrow. And if you've procrastinated or waited to start something, or didn't realize it wasn't even a choice at this point, you just didn't even realize that it was coming up so quickly,
yeah.
then that is a part of time blindness, is living just now and not in the future, not seeing what's coming up.
So it just occurred to me, one of the things that is we've talked about a lot on the show is just the importance of analog
Hmm.
for addressing time blindness. As another aside, like I have a giant, like you remember the clocks that you'd
Hmm.
have in like classrooms,
Yeah.
just big black frame, white clock, black numbers on it, big red second hand, and
Hmm.
it's an analog clock because I need my brain, my ADHD needs to see time passing, and I
Yes.
don't see that with digital. Even on my digital watch, I have a face that is analog, right?
Hmm.
I need to see that. But the other thing that you just brought up got me thinking about is the passage of time over days and months,
Hmm.
not just hours. And as a result, I also have a physical calendar hanging right next to the analog clock where I
Yes.
can see days pass, because I would often run into the problem of uh, thinking I'm on a day and looking up and realizing I'm in literally the wrong week. A week has
Yeah.
passed and I could not conceptualize how the last week has gone. I don't know I couldn't
Right.
account for what I did. I couldn't account for what I'm doing now. Like time just disappeared. I was in routine or whatever, and time passed.
Hmm.
And it's not hours, it's entire days.
Hmm.
And that seems super important to me to acknowledge.
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge, and it's also a strategy, right, on how to
Yeah.
curb time blindness, because you want lots of clocks around you. Analog clocks are great. Hourglasses, you can get hourglasses. For the people on the live stream, you can see this. I have one here,
Hmm.
and you can get them at different time. Yes, and Pete has one too. You can get them at
Yeah.
different time. Uh,
Intervals.
Thank you. Forgot the word. Uh, um, but that's a visual way of you seeing time, right?
Yeah.
So, and the thing about the calendar, and this is something I learned for someone who doesn't have ADHD like myself. The Google calendars are great. Like, what you have on your phone is great to see what's going on today. It's okay if you're on a computer to see what's going on for the week, but anything above that, it's no good, because it's just a little dot. It's that Jeremy Bearimy dot that just
Mhm.
looks like Tuesday, and any month. It could be any month, right? So what I found in my business for planning purposes, I needed an annual calendar. I need to be able to see all 12 months at the same time, and be able to plan when we're doing certain preps, when we're doing promotions, when things are opening. Otherwise, I got in trouble with my team, because Discord mom told me, you've got to give me some more time, because
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking ahead. I was just like, oh, it's September. We need to start getting, we need to start promoting GPS. Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't give her any time to actually do the prep. And
Right.
so I use that example just because I agree with you. I think that you have to have that visual of it's kind of like those things in the mall. You're here now.
Those
And
things
this,
that you mean
the
a map?
directories,
Yeah, the map.
those maps. You're here now. Thank you for clarifying that, because I just think that everybody can see what I'm seeing, because I have that visual of me standing trying to find, Macy's or something.
Yeah.
But you're here now, and this is where you're going. That visual is so, so important. And it's not,
Yeah.
I just want to be clear too, because when in the book, we talk about specific tools and planning tools, and this type of calendar that we're talking about isn't necessarily the calendar that you're putting all your appointments in or anything like that. It's just to visually see time passing.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of
anything at all
maintenance.
on.
Yeah.
I don't write anything at all on this calendar. I
Yeah.
just need to be able to see the relationship of one day to another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love that.
I think that your metaphor of the mall directory
That
and
thing.
looking for Macy's, there's the other side of that is I think what you're talking about with the calendaring too. It's like I come into the mall, really beating this dead horse, but I come into the mall and the first thing I think is, well, I can't trust myself, so I'd better look at the directory, and I see you are here, and then I look and look for the thing that I'm looking for, and it's like the store that's right next to me. It's like the store right next to you are here. That happens more maybe than actually figuring out where I need to go. Had I just sort of could I just figure out to use my senses too? Like, that's the balance.
Right.
That's the tension between like using my eyes and knowing that I have a system that I can trust too.
Well, especially because when I say Macy's, I think I kind of chuckled to myself after I said it, because I'm like, those are big anchor stores.
It's an anchor store.
How do you miss that?
You park at Macy's.
Like, maybe I'm looking for the candy store, that's like down at the end of the mall. But I hear you.
The bespoke Oregon lotion store. That one's buried somewhere.
That's buried.
That one you need a map.
Yeah.
And like a secret code word to find. Like, it's very complicated. But Macy's, you're okay.
Yeah, right.
All right. So living in the time zone, like we talk a lot about it. We offer a bunch of exercises in the book.
Yes. And time tracking. And I just want to say something, because I had a conversation with someone yesterday about time tracking, and she was saying, I don't have time to time track, which just I think is funny, because really, I think a lot of people feel that way. It's time consuming for sure. In the book, we do give you some different ideas and some different things to track. And one of the things I just want to be clear about is that it's not tracking everything. It's only tracking certain things that you want to track. And so this data, we call it personal data that you're basically collecting. It is a really important piece to the planning system. It feels like cumbersome. It feels like it's going to take a lot of time, but I just want to really emphasize the importance of it, because once you learn more about who you are and how your ADHD impacts you on a daily basis, you will become a better planner, because now you're going to start really incorporating what you naturally do and being more realistic with your plans. That a lot of that stress and chaos and going from one meeting to another and all of that can start to decrease, because you're just being more realistic and you're being unapologetically you. You're being who you are with ADHD, and that's not something to mask or be ashamed of or to hide.
Considering ADHD in your planning, like, we talk about that a lot. And I think what you just said is really important, like the value of collecting data. And it can sound like, to my ADHD brain, that, I mean, you said it sounds like a lot, but I want to reframe that to how it's impacted me, which is much more simply, like, you reframe that, you're not talking about like detailed journaling of every step of your day. You're talking about hash notes on a piece of paper, or hash lines on a piece of paper, or a simple categorization or one word bullet and a time. Like those kinds of quick notes, as long as you have a piece of paper and a pen, the only behavior you need to change is making a little note as you change time. You can focus on what to do with those notes later, but you don't have to consider this upending your entire day. We're talking about injecting 5 seconds between events, between meetings, maybe less,
Right.
to just write this thing down in the same place. Get a field notes book, get a notebook, whatever you're happy with, and just make a little note. So I think that runs counter to I don't have time to plan, because we're not like planning in context with your ADHD or in conjunction with your ADHD doesn't have to upend your entire life. It doesn't have to be so frustrating.
Right.
And that's the point. That's
Yes.
the point, is just being aware of how you handle these kinds of transitions emotionally.
Yeah.
And you just got to write it down so you can see it in one place. You just have to see it.
And we guide you through how to analyze it, how to look at it, how to use that information. So it's not just written down and then you forget about it.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I just want to leave with a couple of things to help jar you out of time.
Yes, please.
Is that fair?
Yes.
So what jars time? And I mean jar, I don't mean like put in a jar. I mean like shake. What shakes time for you when you're in ADHD? It's anything that shakes your energy, right? Because so many of the things that we talked about living in the ADHD time zone are related in some way, shape, or form to how your dopamine is working in your body. And so, number one, how many times have you heard us and everyone else say you've got to figure out a way to move your bod with ADHD?
Yes.
And we'll call it exercise, but it doesn't have to be exercise.
Movement.
Any movement at all. Go,
stretching.
Dance, stretch, I don't know,
Yeah.
get on one of those horrible Pilates machines, do whatever you need to do to stretch your body and move it, and really like moving your lymphatic system. I read this fascinating, so I was, okay, I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole yesterday.
You did?
I did. Don't judge me.
I'm not. I'm excited. I want to know what you learned.
Well, it's about the Black Plague. And it turns out one of the things that early medical practitioners, the guys in the coned masks, one of the things that they used to do was, and they didn't know why, was to jolt the lymphatic system. So your lymph nodes in your neck and under your armpits and in your groin, like they would just rub them vigorously. They would encourage people to bounce because your lymphatic system needs to flow, right? It needs to move things through. It also helps you fight diseases. It helps all of those things. When your lymphatic system gets clogged, everything kind of falls apart. So keep your lymphatic system moving, and that's what exercise does, right?
Yeah.
It just keeps you moving. And I thought that was really, really interesting. They thought that was. It turns out the Black Plague was pretty bad, and just shaking out the lymphatic system
wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. The rats were also to be suspicious of, but it all comes back to exercise and how you want to or how you're able to move your body. So that's one. Number two, better food. People, join me in my crusade to eat less cereal and more protein. And that's a huge one. Protein
my doctor told me to eat
everyone.
less cereal too. Seriously. She asked me like, what do you eat? And I'm like, I eat cereal. And she's like, what kind of cereal? I'm like, any kind of cereal, every kind of cereal. And she's like, yeah, we need to cut that down.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Unless you're eating like meatball O's, you're not getting enough protein.
No. And it's too high in sugar.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It's for everybody. It's not just ADHDers. And so you want to also like look at what you're eating, what you're putting in your mouth. And that's really important. Number three, vitamin D. Get some sun, right? And
yes. Well, and for our Pacific Northwest people, vitamin D is a supplement you probably need to take because we just don't get enough sun. And that's
way more than you think you should.
Exactly. Definitely check that out because that's a huge vitamin deficiency that a lot of us here in Oregon and Washington have.
Yep. Right. So vitamin D. I told you my mom's son story, right? People are going to love this. This is very exciting. This is great advice that is heretofore unattributed. Don't know where it came from.
Okay.
When I was in college, my mom calls me and she says, you need more sun. So for 10 minutes a day, I want you to like take off all your clothes and lay down in front of a window and sun your genitals.
Oh
I read
my
that.
God.
She said, I read that in an article. So you've got to sun your genitals. And that, of course, when I was in college, that I told everybody.
Of course you did.
That became a mantra in our freshman dorm. Did everybody sun your jennies today? And it became a thing. And so 10 years later, I go to mom. I say, remember that when you told me to sun my genitals? And she says, I never told you that.
Of course.
I said, what are you doing to me right now? Are you gaslighting
Are you?
me?
Yeah, are you? Exactly.
Not only does this actually line up with getting sun, but it's totally a wacko thing you would tell me to do. What are you trying to disown this? Like loud and proud, sun your jennies. I don't know what you're talking about.
That is
I don't know what you're talking
so
about.
funny.
So anyway, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, Discord Melissa. Every time you talk about getting sun, I'm reminded of the podcast episode recording during COVID lockdown, where I talked about sunning your genitals. Yes, that must have been it.
Okay.
I have talked about that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, after you
so
said
much.
it sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so funny. Oh my
dear.
gosh. Yes, so thanks, Mom. And change. Sometimes you just need to change. And what does that mean? It means get up and sit at a different seat at the table.
Yeah.
Go sit on the couch for a while with your laptop. Go to a coffee shop. Like just change something in your environment, right? Are you not seeing your tasks? Change your tools. Like figure out a way to change. It's okay to change.
Yes.
That's all right.
Yes.
People, community,
Yeah.
get with people.
Connection.
Connection is huge. And last, sometimes it's just meds.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the meds.
Mhm.
Sometimes you may actually need a little bit of med support. I do.
And put a
I do.
timer on to remember to take them.
Yep.
Because time blindness will have you forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's great.
That's the whole story.
All right. Where can people find our book?
Oh, check out the book, takecontroladhd.com/ADHD book. ADHD book. Easy
We
to
are so
remember.
creative.
And you don't, well, this way you don't have to spell unapologetically.
I know, because
we can't.
We can't.
There are so many L's in that word when I write it, and way too many P's.
And there's a
they're
lot
everywhere.
going on in that title.
Yeah. TakeControlADHD.com/ADHD book. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time and attention. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for, if you want to talk about anything, head over to the Discord channel. You can join there for free at TakeControlADHD.com/Discord. That's all we have. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
for your time, your attention. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright. We'll see you next week, right back here on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.